tonight. I'll ask the clerk to announce the meeting and call the roll.
A special session is being held on March 22nd, 2018 at 5 o'clock p.m. in the 5th floor conference room regarding a presentation by the Convention and Visitors Bureau's annual report. Immediately following, the commission will reconvene to the 9th floor conference room for an executive session on litigation. Roll call. Townsend. McKiernan.
Here.
Mugia.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Kane.
Here.
Markley. Here. Walters. Here. Philbrook.
Here.
Bynum.
Here.
Burrows.
Here.
Alvey.
Here. Tonight we'll hear an annual report by the Convention and Visitors Bureau. I'll turn over to Administrator Bach.
Thank you, Mayor. As part of our current agreement with the CVB, we had asked them to come forward each year and do a report, and they have been willingly doing so. Gladly to come forward and tell us all about what's going on. And I know I've had the chance to sit through some of this, being on the board with them, which has been enlightening over the last year to see all the operations. But at this point, I'll turn this over to Bridget Job and our Matt. You guys, Matt, if you'll take it from here.
Thank you, Doug. My name is Matt Lawrence. I am the general manager at Schlitterbahn Water Park, and I'm also here today representing the CVB as the chairman of the board of directors for the CVB. And thank you for allowing us to be here and to share what the Visitor Bureau and we are doing as a destination to drive business, to drive overnight stays, and to be able to share 2017, and then also to be able to look ahead to 2018 and what we're looking at in terms of goals moving forward. I think it's important to start with our mission. So the CVB's driven to become a visitor destination, to market KCK as a visitor destination and to increase the number of overnight stays. Everything that this team does as a bureau and we do as a board is to keep the KCK as top of mind, not only in Kansas City, but regionally. And I think it's important that as we look at moving forward, the focus is not only on being able to support the other businesses, but to be able to help drive business, to be able to increase people to a second and third night stay in the area. Moving forward, the KCK is a 501c6 organization contracted by the unified government. Up on the screen and in front of you is a list of our 2017 board of directors, which is made up of a third unified government representatives. The remaining board members are made up of a mixture of lodging, retail, dining, and business members. Again, up on the screen is 2017 board of directors. As we move forward, there were several changes, starting with Commissioner Tom Burrows taking over for and replacing Commissioner McKiernan as the designated chair for the Economic Development Standing Committee. And thank you, Commissioner McKiernan, for your work with the Bureau over the years. And we do welcome Commissioner Burrows. And through our first meeting already, it's been very, very welcome, and your insight's been great. We do have a couple openings on our board that we are working on looking to fill with representation of the previous areas that we were talking about in the hospitality, retail, and dining side, trying to find, as we're leading and working with Bridget, trying to find the right leadership for this team to carry us forward. Moving forward, I want to be able to introduce, and we do have some of the team here, so 2017 KCK CVB staff, so we're led by Bridget Job, the executive director. Meli Yang, our marketing and communications manager, I believe that she is here. Carrie Green, our group sales and partnership manager. Rebecca Bowman, our marketing assistant. Justin Stein, our meetings and sports sales manager. And Alexa Savka, our visitor service coordinator. Now I want to turn it over to Bridget. Take it the rest of the way.
All right, I'm very excited to be here tonight and share what we have been doing recently. And my number one goal is to make it through without coughing. So that is my goal for the night. Other than that, my number two goal is to be able to share with you some economic impact data that we have on tourism, and then talk about some of the projects that we've done. A couple years ago, this board set out key objectives to drive the work of the Bureau. And a good way to look at these is the top 3 really talk about the different types of visitors that we work with. We work with the leisure travelers, the group and business, that's the meetings and conventions, and then we also work with sports and special event. The final 3 objectives there are more internal, and those talk about we want to educate local residents not only on what there is to do in KCK, but also the economic impact of tourism and what we do as a Bureau. We support and we want to be actively involved and at the table when new tourism product is being developed. We know that to keep visitors returning, we need new, expanded, and quality product to market. So that's a very important part to us. And then this board sees the value in the staff taking a leadership role in tourism-related organizations. There's a lot of issues, whether they be legislative, social, business issues that affect our destination, and we want to be the voice of tourism for Kansas City, Kansas. We have a contract with the unified government through 2021, and that contract sets out our funding, the makeup of our board, and the requirements for our reporting. And each of you, I know in the last week, were given a written annual report that I hope you have read and memorized well. The CVB is funded through a portion of the transient guest tax dollars that are collected in Kansas City, Kansas. In 2017, our budget was just over $1 million. $1 million, or 97% of our budget, came from that contract with the unified government. We also received $25,000 annually from Hollywood Casino as part of their agreement with the unified government. So how do we spend our money? 58% of our budget goes directly to marketing and sales programs. We spend 6% on overhead operating costs, our rent, utilities, office supplies. We live very inexpensively. And then we spend 36% of our budget on personnel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some data, some economic impact data, and to gather that information we utilize a lot of different sources. For the lodging data that I'm going to be talking about, we use Smith Travel Research, or STAR report. And this is a third-party company that hotels report to directly with their occupancy rates, their average daily rates, and we purchase both daily and monthly data from them. And then when I give you the economic impact of an event, we purchased this past year an economic impact calculator, and this is an industry-wide standard calculator that is put out by Destinations International, and it uses our local sales tax rates and our local information to really determine what the economic impact is for a specific event. We also partner with Kansas Wildlife Parks and Tourism on the economic impact of tourism in Kansas City, Kansas, and we do that because this allows for consistent research, that we're sharing the same metrics, we're sharing the same data, and speaking the same language as the state of Kansas. And then we also partner with Visit KC on economic impact for the Kansas City Metro. So a few key findings from our research. Kansas City, Kansas continues to capture more visitor spending and become a larger piece of the overall state market. Visitor spending in 2016, and this is our last data from 2016, we're always a year behind, but 2016 visitor spending increased by 4.7% to reach $423 million, with the growth continuing to be led by the lodging sector. In 2016, direct tourism employment increased by 150 jobs to 3,689 jobs that were directly supported through tourism. And overall, Kansas City, Kansas captures 6.4% of all tourism sales in the state of Kansas. This chart that up here is very interesting because it shows that visitor spending growth in Kansas City, Kansas has outperformed the state of Kansas over the past 6 years. We've grown at 44%, while the state of Kansas has grown at 24%. So we're kind of leading the way for the state. A very interesting trend that came from the Kansas City Metro research, we saw an increase in the number of overnight visitors to the Kansas City region that are choosing to stay in Kansas suburbs. and that's including Overland Park, Olathe, Shawnee, and Kansas City, Kansas. So people are coming to the metro but choosing to stay in Kansas suburbs. One of the best ways we can track how the industry is doing is by how our hotels are performing. This gives us really a general health of the industry, but as we drill down to the specifics, we can see what's driving our visitation and any trends that might emerge. And again, we use the STAR report for that. And you can see here over the past several years how our occupancy, average daily rate, and RevPAR have continued to grow. Our occupancy rate in 2011 was 55%. We are now at 68.7%. Our average daily rate was $90.67. This is a very high number. We are at $124 as our average daily rate. Yes?
What is RevPAR refer?
RevPAR is revenue per available room, and that is the most important key metric when you're looking at hoteliers. And what it does is it takes into account the number of rooms you have, the demand, the occupancy, the rate. So this RevPAR number right here, we've grown from 2011 from $50.13 up to $85.33. And to put this better into perspective, you can see how we compare with surrounding counties. Every month, these are the ones that we compare to, and all of this information is shared at our board meetings so that we can monitor trends. But as you can see, our annual occupancy rate is one of the highest in those that we compare to. Our average daily rate is the highest, and so is our RevPAR. This explains why hotels are wanting to build here. Yes, Commissioner.
And I appreciate that statement about the hotels wanting to build here. What is the increase in rooms, the number of rooms from between 2011 to 2017? Do you have a number?
I do. We ended 2017 with 1,859 rooms, with 197 under construction. I will have to look back to see what 2011 was. I was just researching with Mike Taylor recently on Star Bonds, and we were talking about how we've grown from 2001 pre-Kansas Speedway, and pre-Kansas Speedway we had about 600 rooms. We are now going over 2,000, so that's pretty phenomenal growth in that time. I will have to get back with you exactly what 2011 was.
I guess in looking at this chart, it would justify continuing to invest and encourage hotel development within the community. Not flooding the market, but it does show that at an 85% occupancy rate, or 68% occupancy rate, we can absolutely have a little more room for development yet.
I would say very strategic growth. And as we get into this, you'll see why, because we do track why we lose business. I'm not sure that we want to build every hotel that comes along. I think we need to be very strategic about what hotel we build. But I think that will be, you'll see more as we go along here as why I say that. One of the things to point out is we monitor when our visitors are coming. We know that our highest occupancy days are Saturdays and then Fridays. Our lowest days are typically Sunday and then Monday. You can see by this chart here what months we have the highest and the lowest occupancy. And this is very important because it guides where we spend our resources. We try to focus on what days of the week and what months of the year we have the biggest potential for growth. So if an event came and they were going to be held in November, I would be much more interested in working with that event than if we had one that was coming in July, which really we don't have room for growth in hotels. So let me share you some of the ways that the CVB has contributed to some of these numbers. 2017 was really a year of growth and expansion for the Bureau. Because of a significant funding increase from our contract with the UG, we were able to add 2 new staff members. We put a major focus on the sports market, both youth and amateur. A new website, which I'm hoping you all have gone and looked at. We added the economic impact calculator that I talked about. We really increased our social influencer activity, and we just won a whole bunch of awards, as you can see sitting here. And I have a lot of them that are up on the chart here, but many of these awards were from TIAC, which is the Tourism Industry Association of Kansas. But one that I really want to point out is the Kansas Tourism Partnership Award. I'm particularly proud of this one. We were honored from the Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism, recognizing our collaboration that we have with the state to advance tourism, not only in Kansas City, Kansas, but in the entire state of Kansas. Another one that I would point out is Sports Events Magazine, where we were named as the 2018 Reader's Choice Award winner for being a winning destination for youth and amateur sports. This award is a direct result of us having a staff person who is dedicated to sports marketing. He's attending trade shows. We increased our advertising. All of a sudden, people started saying Kansas City, Kansas is a youth sports market. So we are very proud of that award. One of the requirements our contract has is that with the UG is that we set annual goals. And I know this is probably a little bit hard to read, but you can see we set 7 goals in 2017. We also list the corresponding objectives that I just mentioned of those 6 objectives, because every goal goes back to one of those objectives, one or more. And then you can see here this 2017 results. I'm very pleased to say that we made 6 out of the 7 goals. We wanted to generate 5,000 new room nights in the meetings group and sports market. We generated 6,429. We wanted to generate 50 new quality leads in the meetings and sports market. And quality leads, we define that as a lead that we can really host, not just a lead that is something that's way out of something we can do. We really looked at those quality leads. We generated 71 new leads. We unveiled our extranet, which is our behind-the-scenes extranet where we can talk with our partners, that they can go in and update their listings. We can communicate with them. We wanted to conduct 4 group training sessions. We ended up changing that throughout the year. We ended up going to smaller, more just 2 or 3 people at a time. So we did 18 smaller trainings, and we had 54 people trained on the extranet. We wanted to secure 50 new Smurf and motor coach market bookings, and I know that Commissioner Markling always loves it when I talk about the Smurf market, but that is the social, military, educational, religious, and fraternal market. It is, it is. I know. We ended up generating 67 new bookings. The one goal that we did not meet was our Jackrabbit website hotel referrals. We wanted to increase by 15%. This is our online hotel referral. We actually had a decrease. And what happened is when we unveiled our new website, we went with where they recommended. We put the widget. We found out that it was not in the right place, and we were not getting as many referrals. Throughout the year, we ended up changing that, and you'll see in a minute here when I show you the website, and our numbers are coming back up. So we learned a lot from that. We wanted to produce 16 blogs or stories through our social influencer program. We ended up doing 14 local influencer blogs and 8 stories. We wanted to increase our website sessions by 25%, and we kind of blew it out the water by increasing by 52%. The CVB works with several types of travelers, and leisure continues to be the majority of our visitors, although we also spend a lot of time and effort on the meetings, conventions, groups, motor coach, and the sports market. In the written report that you received last week, we break that out by category. What I've done here is put this all together to show you that we attended 8 trade shows, the impressions we had, the new leads, bookings. We generated over 6,400 room nights with an over $2 million economic impact from those that we directly worked with. One of the other things, and this kind of gets back to Commissioner Burrows, your question, we track for every market why we lose business. Sometimes it doesn't really matter how hard we work. Sometimes a meeting planner just chooses to go to another location. But we track that because we want to see is this an area we need to improve on? Is this something that our destination needs? And we break it down by market in the written report. But here I kind of just put it all together because you will see a trend. And the number one reason we lose business is for the desire for a convention center attached to a hotel in the Village West area or a full-service hotel. Sometimes those go hand in hand with each other. Second one is room rates. We talked, our room rates are higher than the surrounding area, and sometimes we do lose business because someone can go somewhere else and pay less. And then availability, and availability might be rooms. There may not be any hotel rooms. If you're trying to come on a weekend in July, there's probably not a hotel room. But it also might be availability of a facility if somebody wants to bring a soccer tournament to town and our fields are not available. So sometimes we lose because of availability. So let me tell you a little bit about our marketing programs, and this is how we attract visitors to KCK. We use multiple types of marketing, and we are constantly evaluating the results of each project that we're doing. We change as trends happen and as technology advances. I have to start with our website because I am very proud of our website. And all of our advertising and promotion sends our visitors to the website. I've got it here, I'm gonna open it up. I hope that you guys do go to it because it is a really great website. It's very visually driven. Let me see, can I move down here? As you can see, one of the very first questions people asked is, where is Kansas City, Kansas in relation to the rest of the metro area? So we found this map to be very helpful. We divide up into the 4 areas here. If someone's coming to the KU Med Center area, this will give them more information about that area. This is the widget I talked about with the Jackrabbit. You can actually go right here and you can book from this website and book a hotel room. And I'm going to talk about a lot of the things here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through this, but I hope that you will spend some time on our website. Let's see if I can get back to this. I can. We do track a lot of data from our website. Things like we know that 57% of the users are on a mobile device. We found some very interesting things this year. We have never had sports as our top interest. We have also never had more males than females going to our website. When we looked at this, we spent a lot of time trying to figure out why. We spent a lot of money on sports marketing last year. We really think that kind of changed the needle just a little bit and drove this sports and more men going to our website. So you can see we really try to track who's going to our website. We focus more and more dollars on digital advertising every year. About 40% of our marketing dollars are spent online and in digital. We do have to do print, we have to do other avenues, but we find digital, it's more trackable, it's more flexible. If we see something that's not working, we can change it up very quickly. Some key metrics of some of our digital campaign, we had over 42 million impressions, had over 85,000 people that clicked through on one of our ads, and we had almost 5,000 people who actually then reached out to us for more information. And you can see here's some just some examples of some of our digital ads. One of our digital program, one part of it is our amplified storytelling. And the amplified storytelling is a themed story written by a third-party writer that explains their experiences in KCK. And these stories live online, and we found them to be really helpful in generating new content, in generating new followers, and increasing the amount of time someone spends. This was one of my favorite ones that we did. We generated 8 stories in 2017. But this one, if a person went to and read this story, they spent over 17 minutes on our website. And that is a huge amount of time for someone to go and spend on our website. So again, I hope you will go. These all live on our website, and I hope that you will go and look at them. We use Arrivalist technology with some of our digital advertising. And Arrivalist is when we can track when and where a digital ad is viewed and how many people then visit KCK after they have viewed that ad. We don't use it on every digital ad. It's very expensive technology. I just don't have the budget to do that. But basically how it works is that there's a pixel placed on an ad when someone in Oklahoma City clicks on that, and then we know when they arrive in Kansas City, Kansas. We can say from the ads that we placed using Arrivalist, we had over 1,200 people who arrived. You can see the estimated visitor revenue. This is a return of $17.48 for when we send this. It's kind of a big brother type of thing, but we can really focus and we can track who's coming and how effective our ads are. We also partner with Visit KC. They do a metro-wide Kansas City Metro campaign. It's an $850,000 campaign. We are part of that. You can see some of the impressions for the Metro, and they have a ROA to the Kansas City Metro, and that's not just to us, but to the Metro, of $85 for every dollar spent. We do a lot on social media, and I hope that you follow us. We are on all the platforms. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter are the main ones that we are on. We had a 20% increase in followers this past year. Two really exciting things that we did well in 2017. We did 12 Facebook Live events, and this is a picture here of one we did with 1889 Pizza. Rebecca from our office is kind of our face of our Facebook Lives, and she goes out and she does some crazy things like makes pizza. She taught people how to get in an inner tube gracefully at Schlitterbahn. Yesterday she was at Split Log Coffee learning how to make decorative coffee. We had over 57,000 views of our Facebook Lives. We also, last year, started an Instameet. It was the first ever KCK Instameet, and if you are like me, when staff came to me and said, we'd like to do an Instameet, I didn't know what it was. An Instameet is when people, whether they be bloggers, photographers, just people who are on Instagram, get together in one location. There's usually an educational component of some way, how to take better pictures, and they post on Instagram. We had our first one last July, the hottest day of the year. We had 53 people show up. We were at Memorial Hall. We took them to Caw Point. We took them to Rosedale Arch. They did a walking tour downtown of the murals. We generated over 9,000 likes and almost 300 photos just from that. By the way, we do have our first Instameet for 2018 is a Saturday at the Agricultural Hall of Fame, 9 o'clock if you'd like to show up. We do a social local influencer program. This is a little bit different than the stories. This is more on blogs, and this is one here. It just kind of tells you this is how it goes, and you can actually click through and see how the blog looks on our website. But we had 4 categories that we chose, and this is more of a behind the scenes, what the locals do. And this is our one on family fun. We also have a blogger who does arts and culture. We have mature travel, and we have adventure travel. They produced over 10,000 blog views, and we reached over 76,000 people on Facebook with these blogs. We produce, let me get back here, several visitor publications. Probably the one you know the most is our visitor guide. This is the 2017. You have 2018. I handed out with you tonight. We print and distribute 125,000 of these, plus we have them online where you can digitally download them. Last year we created 3 new videos. We use these on YouTube. They're on our website. We use them with our digital marketing website. If there's a special event, when we had the USA track and field in Lawrence last year, we were able to play on the screen there. This is my favorite one that we did last year, and hopefully it will load here very quickly. I'll show you. stories have been really successful, and we've been able to use them in a lot of different ways. We work with the PR and the media. We host travel journalists, whether we host an individual travel journalist who is wanting to come and learn more about Kansas City, Kansas, and Wright. We also do FAM tours. Those are familiarization tours where we bring a group of travel journalists together. Our most successful one last year was a foodie fam. We basically brought them in and fed them at all local restaurants. We fed them for 2 days. It was so successful, we ended up doing a second one. And you can see the stories and the social media reach. And it's not just when we bring them to town, we're also going to PR events, meeting with travel journalists, talking about what's up and coming, what's new. We tracked 68 different stories, and then we directly contributed to 27 different travel articles. I can't talk about 2017 without talking about the solar eclipse. We were talking in our office that we'd like to give an award to someone for the solar eclipse. We didn't know who that could be other than God. So, but what we did do was we took advantage of a situation that was really dropped in our lap. We did not bring the solar eclipse to Kansas City, Kansas. It was here. And so we just took advantage. We ordered 50,000 and distributed commemorative glasses. They were given to every hotel guest who was staying in Kansas City, Kansas. They were distributed at T-Bones games, sporting games, Schlitterbahn. We had 1,300 people sign in at the office. We did a Facebook Live event in downtown KCK with over 5,000 views, and we had over 500 people at the T-Bone Stadium to watch it. Probably the most important thing to notice here is a Sunday night is always our lowest occupancy. Because this happened on Monday, we had a 126% increase in our occupancy on that Sunday night. We had 999 more rooms sold than the previous year. So if anybody can get a solar eclipse in next year, we'd love that. 2018 advancement and innovation. Our funding is pretty consistent for what it was in 2017. I'm not going to be able to have significant growth like we did in 17. I'm not going to be able to add new staff, but what we will be doing is further refining, doing better what we are already doing. A couple of items to point out: we do have a community marketing grant. We have committed $5,000 that will be used to assist attractions and events in their marketing. The first round of applications are due March 30th. That has already been sent out to all of the attractions, and I believe we've got 2 people who have applied already. The board is going to be reviewing and updating our long-range plans and our goals for the Bureau. We have media FAMs, we're doing Insta-Meets, and then it's all about the Summer of Oz. I'm sure that you have heard that there will be a live Wizard of Oz production at Providence Amphitheater, August 1st through 5th. We have been working with a lot of our attractions to put on Oz-themed specials and events during the summer. Ag Hall of Fame has really jumped all over this. They're going to have a Oz Comes to Kansas, what a farm town was like, that you can go and experience a farm town and then go over to Providence Amphitheater and go watch the live production of Wizard of Oz. We are also going to be creating our summer campaign all around Oz. So with that, I am going to stop talking and see if there are any questions.
Thank you. First, before the question, just a compliment to you and your staff and your board. I'm glad that we were able to augment the funding that we give. It clearly has paid dividends for the Kansas City, Kansas community. So you all do an amazing amount of work, really high quality work on that budget, and I, for one, really appreciate it. So I want to make sure I say that to you and everyone involved. But what's your impression of what will be needed when the American Royal is up and open and fully operating here?
We've talked about this in board meetings. The American Royal is a game changer. The opportunities that we will have, when I showed you the slide of when our lowest occupancy months are and the potential for growth, that gives us an indoor facility to bring in all kinds of events that we just cannot bring in. We will need staff to sell that. We will need dollars to sell that. It will be a game changer both for our bureau and I think for us as a destination. And I think a convention center is the same thing also, whether they are in conjunction with each other or separate, they are both game changers for us.
So just to follow up with all of that, so game changer, so when do you think you need to ramp up on that as your knowledge, when do you need those new people? 2019 budget, I mean, what are we talking here?
Sure.
Because I really don't know exactly when they're gonna be breaking
We
ground.
cannot sell something that is not already at least under construction.
Right.
That does not mean that we are already not talking about it to some very key. In fact, the mayor and I talked about something just recently that is a potential that's out there. We can't really talk about it. They don't really want to talk about it, but they would be very interested if the facility was built in the way they could use it. We have several things that we can talk to, but we cannot sell it until it is built, or at least we know it is for sure.
Until we see action.
Right.
Okay.
What we can do in the meantime is continue to market Kansas City, Kansas, to create that awareness of all the things that we have here. And every other destination is clamoring for those visitors, and they are in their face all the time. And the more that we can be in the face of the visitors saying, come to Kansas City, Kansas, look at all what we have to do, come to Kansas City, Kansas, the more we are top of mind. So we could start marketing the destination immediately.
So then another question, which is kind of a sticky wicket because it's another community, but that they're bringing in a smaller venue as far as convention, area along with hotel across I-70. How are we going to play in that? Are they going to, you know what I'm saying? Because it's one of those situations where do we further that as well as?
These are great discussions, and I don't know that I can answer them all tonight. I think you're talking about the Lowe's property. Depending on who you talk to, I think there is some concern that the market is being saturated with rooms, and that might be the downtown market. I think the statistic that I showed you that more people are wanting to stay in the suburbs is very telling, that as people are coming to the Kansas City Metro, not everybody wants the downtown experience. We offer an option. And so I think we have something to offer there that many visitors want.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Sorry to put you on the spot, but
Did my best.
you're in the middle of it.
I am.
I just wanted to comment on the addition of Justin Stein to your staff. I thought that's a great move to really target the sport side of it, and I was able to participate in the NAIA tip-off, and that's an event that, for those of us who grew up in Kansas City, would go to the Municipal Auditorium when we were kids and run around, watch some games here and there. But it was a great event that they held at Sporting KC. Even though the tournament is held in Municipal Auditorium, the tip-off event was held with all of the teams and the coaches, the staffs at Sporting KC. It was a great event. I think it really showcased Kansas City, Kansas very well.
Thank you.
Well
It was
done.
the first year, Justin was a big part of that, working to get that moved. It's always been held at Power and Light, and so we were able to get the tip-off event at Sporting KC this year, and we appreciate you being there. That was great.
Yes, Commissioner?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Ms. Jobe, Mr. Lawrence. I was thinking back as you were making your presentation about, 3-4 years ago, when this body had to consider whether or not the CVB was going to be joined with another organization, and that's great also. But seeing the progress that's been made, I think that was the right decision to keep the CVB as a separate entity whose sole job was to market KCK, Wyandotte County. I'd also like to applaud you for continuing to push places for visitors to come in and appreciate, and even local people on all sections of the city. Call Point Park on the northeast end, the John Brown area, all the way out west. So great job and congratulations on your recognition and awards. Oh, for clarifying, thank you for clarifying Instameet. I thought we were going into the dating business too.
We could bring visitors, maybe.
Well, maybe you join that with, you know, Dorothy and Oz, and, you know, the theme is we met in KCK. I don't know. Thank you.
I love it.
Well, thank you for your presentation.
Right, thank you.
All right, I would ask, do we have a motion for executive session for consultation with our attorney to discuss matters related to litigation?
We do. I move that the commission go into executive session until 7 p.m. to consult with our attorneys and to discuss, under the attorney-client privilege, confidential matters related to pending claims and litigation as permitted under the Kansas Open Meetings Act, and that staff designated by the county administrator be present to participate in the discussion, and to reconvene in open session at 7 p.m. in the commission chamber located on the first floor.
Second.
We have a second. Roll call.
Townsend,
Aye.
McKiernan,
Aye.
Mugia. Commissioner Mugia. Johnson,
Aye.
Kane, Barkley, Walters, Philbrook,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burrows,
Aye.
Aye.